Okay, today is April 28th, 2011. We're on lesson 5.3, textbook, page 283, and your blue notebook, page 275. You guys have a quiz on Friday. It's going to include all of our trigonometric ratios and today's stuff, sine law. So, sine law can be written two different ways. Okay? We have our side on the top and our angles on the bottom. Actually, I better draw a triangle to make sense. All right, to make sense of this, we have this triangle here I just created on the side. When we refer to A, so capital A, that's referring to a side of the triangle. You can name any side of the triangle A. It's really up to you. But you have to make sure that the opposite angle to that side is considered lowercase a. So it becomes the bottom part of this fraction or ratio. Okay, so the angle would be put in right here, and our side goes right there. Make sure your A's are opposite. The exact same idea goes with B. You can label any angle B. And remember, all the angles are the lowercase letters. So any angle can be B. Just make sure that the opposite side is labeled as capital B. So once again, opposite angle and opposite side, they go together in these ratios. And finally, C, exact same idea. Angle C, opposite side is side C. When you set up the ratio, if you guys notice, right on the first one, we have all of our sides on the top part of the fraction. And on our second one, we have all of the sides on the bottom parts of our fraction. It doesn't matter which one of these you use. You could have the sides on the top or on the bottom, and vice versa with the angles. Just make sure that you're consistent. So if you're going to use method number 1, all of the sides of the triangle are on the tops of the fractions, or the numerators, and all of the angles on the bottoms of the fraction. Or you can use version 2, which is the complete opposite. Make sure you guys have this down. This law you have to have memorized. Sine law. What's that? Okay, these are the 3 times that you're going to use sine law. So, if you have a measurement of a side, and an angle, that's why we have SSA, that's side-side angle. That's one of the reasons you'll be using sine law. Oh, very important, forgot to mention this. Sine law is used on non-right angle triangles. So everything we've done up to this point deals with right angle triangles. Today we're dealing with triangles that are not right angles, okay? So make sure you guys remember that. If you have a right angle triangle, we use the ratios from the day before. If you don't have a right angle triangle, these are the times you use sine law. So when you have side angle, our second one is when we have an angle, the side in between, and then another angle. You can use sine law to solve it. And finally, if you have a side, angle, and the opposite angle of a side, you could solve it. So we have side, angle, angle. These are the 3 times that you would use these methods to solve sine law. Okay, so this is example 1. They've given us 2 angles and a side. We're going to set up our sine law right beside it. So we had our A over sine A is equal to side B over sine angle B, which is equal to C over sine angle C. Okay, very first thing you need to do is label the triangle. So we're going to start with any side. I told you it doesn't matter. Just make sure your side and your opposite angle have the same letters labeled to them. So if I call 9.2, this side of the triangle, side C, that means 70 degrees needs to be angle C. It's opposite of that side. If I give angle 55 degrees, angle A, then the opposite side needs to be side A. And then finally, all we're left with is side B and angle B, which we don't have a measurement for. So what I want to do now is plug in the numbers into our actual equation right now. So right now I have the measurements for both side C and angle C. So I'm going to plug them both in. Side C is 9.2 and sine angle C is 70 degrees. So I have both those numbers in that ratio. Because I have both numbers in the ratio, I can definitely solve using Sine Law. We have no measurements for B. And finally, I have the angle of side A, 55. Now in this question, they're asking us to find side A. They want to know how long side A is. So I'm going to look at the ratio I've set up. Right now, our middle ratio, what we've labeled as B, I don't have any numbers for this. Uh-oh, I don't know how to get that off. Oh, there you go. I don't have any numbers for that. So we can actually cancel that out. It doesn't need to be part of this equation anymore. It's just going to confuse us. So anytime you run into this when you're plugging numbers into Sine Law, excuse me, you have a ratio or a fraction that you have none of the numbers for, you could just drop it from the equation. So our next line, A equals sine 55 equal to 9.2 over sine 70. Okay? So I've dropped this one from the equation. It's not important. It's not going to help us solve for side A. Now that I have these, all I have is one variable to solve for. I'm looking for A, so I'll have to isolate A, get it by itself. So before I do anything over here, and it actually doesn't matter the order, I could solve what 9.2 divided by sine 70 is. I'm going to move sine 55 over. To move sine 55 over, what would I have to do? I have to multiply both sides of the equation by sine 55. Mm-hmm. Depends on the calculator. I'll come show you. Okay? So here, these two cancel out. We're left with just A. And on this side, I have 9.2 over sine 70 multiplied by sine 55. That did not show up. There you go. Okay? So, very next step is just working the calculator. I'm going to show you that right now. Okay, so we've brought up the calculator on the side. We still have to solve for this equation here. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to do this one step at a time. So I'm actually going to be looking for, I'm going to solve for sine 70 first, okay? Just one part of the fraction. So that means everything else is going to be the exact same. So I can bring that down right now. It's still going to say A is equal to 9.2 over, and we're solving for sine 70 times sine 55. I'm doing this one step at a time. So I'm trying to solve sine 70. On the calculator I have right here, let's take a look. On this calculator, I hit sine first. If your calculator shows the word sine, then you're going to be pushing sine first, and then the numbers after. So I push 70 and enter. 0.94. Okay? So sine 70 is 0.94. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to solve for this bracket here. I'm going to divide 9.2 divided by 0.94. So once again, the rest of the calculator, rest of the equation, we're solving for this bracket. We still have to multiply by sine 55. So, next line, I have 9.2 divided by 0.94 equals, there we go, 9.787. So I've solved that fraction. Still, one step at a time. I'm going to do sine 55 next. A is equal to 9.787 times, I'm going to solve for this bracket next, sine 55. So again, I have one of those calculators. It's a newer version. You may have a version where you have to put the number in first and then hit sine. Just do trial and error to figure that out. On mine, I hit sine first, 55, and bracket is equal to 0.89 or 819. 819. And finally, I just have to multiply the last two parts. So 0.819 times 9.787 equals A is equal to 8.016. So, according to our calculations, I go back up here. Side A is 8.016. Be solved for our side A. That was our x in the equation. Okay, we're going to jump right to example 3. In this question, they've asked us to solve for theta. So we're actually looking for an angle in this question. I've already labeled the triangle A, B, and C. So we're actually looking for angle B. So I'm going to plug in the numbers. Side A we have is 2. Angle A is 80 degrees. Side B is 1.4. Angle B we're trying to solve, and I have nothing for my C ratio. So right away I know I do not need that part of the ratio. I can drop it from the equation. So it's going to say 2 over sine 80 equals 1.4 over sine B. Okay, I need to solve for sine B here. This is where it gets a little tricky. I need to get the B by itself. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to solve for this sine 80. Whoops, wrong one. I'm going to solve for sine 80 is equal to 0.985. Okay, 2 divided by 0.985 is 2.03, equal to 1.4 over sine B. Okay, here's the difficult part. We need to get sine B by itself. So first thing I'm going to do is get it out of the fraction. I'm going to multiply this side by sine B and that side by sine B. These two here will cancel out. So I'm left with 1.4 is equal to sine B times 2.03. Once again, I still got to get B by itself. So exact opposite. I'm going to divide both sides by 2.03. These two will cancel out. Sine B is equal to 1.4 over 2.3. Yep. Nope. Sorry. Sine B equals 0.69. Not finished though. I'm actually looking for the angle. So angle B itself. This is where I told you guys you have to move the ratio sign. So sine over to the other side. So for angle B is equal to sine inverse 1.69. So when you go to put this in the calculator, this is the hard part for most of you guys. Most of your calculators, you're going to hit second function first. See how mine has an up arrow? Then I hit sine. I have sine to the negative 1. Then I type in the number, 0.69 equals 2. There we have 43.6 degrees. That's how you find the angles. Make sure you always do second function, then the ratio. Okay? So 43 degrees. We go back up here. Our angle B is 43 degrees. Okay, so homework's on page 277 in your blue notebook. And it tells you to do these 4 questions, 4, 7, 11, 12, on page 288 in your textbook.